One wrong move when you're buying a house can cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and most buyers have no idea which mistakes are the expensive ones until it's way too late to fix them. I've helped over 1,600 families buy and sell homes over the last 9 years, and I've watched buyers lose serious, real money on the exact same handful of mistakes over and over again. It's the same ones every single time, and it's not because they were careless, it's because nobody ever told them what to watch out for. So in this video today, I'm going to walk you through the mistakes that actually empty your bank account and how to avoid each one of these. Some of these you've probably never even heard of. So grab something to write with, because by the end of this, you're going to walk into your home search knowing more than most agents do. Let's jump right into it. Mistake number one is overpaying because you got emotional. The first mistake is the one that costs the most. Let's get it out of the way first and early. And it's letting your emotions decide what you're willing to pay. Here's what happens. You walk into a house, you fall in love with it, and then all of a sudden the number stops mattering. There's another buyer circling, supposedly. The agent tells you it could go fast, and now you're in a bidding war pushing the price way past anything the neighborhood has seen in years. And oftentimes you're bidding against yourself. So people do this constantly, and when there's real competition for good homes, it's easy to get pulled into this. You got FOMO, fear of missing out on this house. You finally found the home you like and you love, and you want it, and you don't want to lose it. But you have to put the emotion aside for just a minute. And here's the part that actually hurts. Asking price is not the same as market value. It can be, but it isn't necessarily the same. A listing agent has every reason to price aggressively, and a seller wants the highest number they possibly can get. So when you overpay, the appraiser comes out for the lender, looks at the comps, and values the home below what you agreed to pay. Now you're stuck with two options, and neither is fun. You either negotiate with the seller, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, but except they've already had you emotionally hooked, so you're bargaining from the weakest possible position, or you bring the difference in cash, from your pocket. That's not good either. That puts you underwater on day one, owning more than the house is actually worth. Homes are really only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for. Keep that in mind. The fix is simple, but you have to actually do it. Before you ever write an offer, pull the sold comps, not the active listings, because those are actually the asking prices and the wish list. You want what's actually closed in that neighborhood in the last few months, similar size, age, and condition, so you've got a ceiling based on data instead of feelings. And the most important skill here is knowing when to walk away. When do you just say, this is my line in the sand, I'm not going to go past that? You need to have that line in the sand very clearly defined before you ever even put an offer in. There's always another house. There's not always another 20 or 30 grand sitting in your bank account to cover a bad appraisal. Pulling comps and doing the market analysis on each home you want to offer on is a crucial step, and it's part of your agent's job. You don't need to do this. You simply need to demand from your agent that they do it and that they send it to you before you actually put an offer together. You want to look at these comps and see how much were these homes listed at, how much do they sell for, how do they compare to the one that you're wanting to offer on. Mistake number two, shortcutting the inspection. Again, this is the one that people talk themselves out of, is treating the home inspection as optional. If you skip this, and you can be living in a money pit before you ever even unpacked a single box with no idea it was coming. I hear this all the time with homes listed as is. Buyers see those two words and they assume that means no inspection. So they either walk away from a house they'd actually love, or worse, they buy it blind. Both are huge and expensive mistakes. As is almost always just means the seller isn't going to fix anything. It does not mean you give up your right to look. You're entitled to a home inspection on that property, period, and you should always get one. Now, here's the part that flips this whole thing in your favor. Say you get the inspection and something real shows up, like a roof at the end of its useful life, a foundation issue, or a problem with the chimney. A lot of buyers think as is means they just have to eat that. They don't. The second that defect is on an inspection report, the seller now has to disclose it to the next buyer as well. They can't just pretend like it didn't happen. So if they tell you to take a hike when you ask for the repairs or the cost of the repairs, they're not escaping the problem. They're just carrying it on to the next person who's going to ask for the same credit or walk away for the same reason. I've seen sellers swear up and down they won't budge and then quietly come back with a repair or credit once they realize the issue follows the house. So use that. I always put inspection issues into three main categories. The first one is the most dangerous one. You really have to look out for it, and that is the catastrophic issue. Those are the deal killers that we would simply walk away from. Could be a structural issue, a sinking foundation, something like that. That's the first bucket, catastrophic. And that's just like the deal's over, we back out, we go find something else. The second category is a major issue, like a furnace that's dead, a roof that's past its useful life. These are expensive fixes, and this is really what an inspection is for. So we focus on these major issues that could come up. If those come up, we will almost always try to fight to negotiate to get that issue fixed, because we didn't know about when we offered on the house. And then the last kind of third bucket is minor cosmetic items. These are inexpensive things, maybe a crooked cabinet door, a doorknob that doesn't match, something like that, carpet that's worn out. Those aren't really fair game to negotiate for. I'm not really worried about those. I'm worried more about the catastrophic issues and then the major issues when we're doing an inspection, okay? So before we keep going though, quick thing. If you're getting close to actually making a move and you'd rather have someone in your corner who's seen these mistakes play out hundreds of times, there's a link in the description below. Fill out the short form, tell us a little bit about your situation. My team or I will take a look and reach out if we think we're a good fit to help. No pressure either way. Now let's get back to it. Mistake number 3, the systems and the structure that you can't see. Mistake number 3 is the one that catches most people who do everything else right. You fall for how a house looks and you forget to check the bones, and that's an expensive blind spot. Older homes and flips are where this hits hardest. The flip can be gorgeous with a new kitchen, fresh paint, and new floors, looking perfect the second you walk in. But none of that tells you about the stuff that actually costs real money when it fails. Like I said, the roof, the crawl space, the furnace, the water heater, the plumbing, the wiring. All of the mechanics of this house and the structure of it. In some older houses, you'll run into outdated wiring that's a fire risk, aged plumbing you do not want, or an old sewer line, and replacing a sewer main or repiping a house is not a weekend project. It's actually tens of thousands of dollars. These are all things you'd want to know about, right? So here's how to protect yourself. Most systems get updated 1 or 2 at a time, never all at once, because it's a lot of money. So assume the ones nobody mentioned are original and budget for them. A few rough shelf lives to keep in mind on how long things last. A roof is typically good for 25 to 30 years, depending on the quality. They can be as short as 20 years, can be as long as 50. It really depends on what type of roof it is. A furnace runs typically about 20 years, and again, it can go much longer if it's properly maintained. I've had some furnaces last 40 years. A water heater is closer to 10 years on the high end. Again, I've seen some go to 15 that are well taken care of. But if it's 15, 20 years old or even 12, you might want to be concerned about that. So when you tour a flip house, look past the finishes and ask the age of every system. This is exactly where your inspection earns its money because it shows you what's wrong at a level you and I simply can't see when we walk through. The pretty stuff is easy to judge. The countertops, beautiful bathrooms, all that stuff. It's the expensive stuff that hides. That's the stuff that bites you a year or 2 in. Mistake number 4, trusting the seller's word instead of the records. The 4th mistake is taking the seller at their word on the things you can actually verify yourself. You skip the paperwork and you can inherit someone else's problem and you're going to pay for it. I always tell people, treat every seller with a little bit of suspicion. Not because they're all hiding something, but because plenty of stuff generally gets forgotten about and never makes it into the disclosure. You have a right to do your own due diligence on this house, and you should take advantage of that. You don't want to rely on what you're told. You want to pull the records and verify it. So there are a couple big ones you want to check out. The first one is the local planning and permits. Are there any open permits sitting out there for work that was never finished or signed off? Is there a permit on file for something that the seller has never mentioned, like a decommissioned oil tank or an addition? Did somebody just convert a garage into living space right before listing? That could come back on you and it wasn't permitted. You'd be surprised what shows up, and the records don't have feelings or motivations the way a seller does. Next up is the claims history. This is the one that almost nobody talks about. There's a report called a CLUE report, which is a comprehensive loss and underwriting exchange that shows insurance claims filed on the property. Water damage, fire, wind, and a tree that fell through the roof, flooding, things like that. You could ask your insurance agent to run this for you. A pile of claims tells you about hidden damage, and it also matters because of a heavy claims history can make the home expensive or even hard to insure at all, because there's a long history of this that sticks with the house. So pull the permits, pull the claims history, read the disclosures carefully, and verify the big stuff yourself. The seller's memory is not your due diligence. Mistake number 5, getting the financing wrong. Mistake number 5 is the money side, and it splits into 2 pieces that both cost you. You get this wrong and either overpay for years or you blow the entire deal. The first piece is your true affordability. Before you fail for anything, talk to a mortgage broker and let them tell you your real maximum, then knock a chunk of that number off, because the max is not the goal. The payment is just the start. You also need to think about property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and everything else that comes with owning a house that you didn't have to deal with as a renter. I tell buyers to sit down with a simple spreadsheet and actually run the monthly number, the real one, and ask yourself if it still works if rates are a little bit higher down the road, because rates do fluctuate. Maxing yourself out is how a house you love turns into a house you resent. Think about your entire debt payments each month. This is going to include your car payments, credit card payments, student loans, and then add the new mortgage payment into that as well. We want this ideally to be about 50% of your gross income. Gross income is before the taxes come out. Some loan programs will approve you for up to 55 to 60% of your income, but I promise you, this is going to put you in a squeeze financially every single month if you push yourself and stretch yourself that thin. I would recommend that you keep it in the 40 to 50% max range of your gross income so you still have a great quality of life and you can take the vacation, go out to enjoy yourself occasionally. Let's say that you make $10,000 a month gross income as a household. So 50% of that would be a maximum of $5,000 that you spend on your new mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, car payments, credit card payments, all those things combined. Run the numbers. You have to do this step. Just because you're approved for the max doesn't mean you should go to the max. The second piece trips up even careful people. Once you're under contract, do not touch your credit. I know the urge. You've got a house coming. You want to furnish it. You want to buy new things for it. You want to have the car for it as well. But a new line of credit in the middle of your underwriting can completely change the numbers and disqualify you for the loan. So that's definitely not what you want to do. And so until the day you close, do not do any of this. Don't buy or lease a new car. Don't open a store credit card like a Home Depot or a furniture card. None of that until the house is closed. Do not finance anything, no matter how small it feels. And absolutely do not change jobs while you're under contract to buy a house either. All of these things can result in you getting disqualified for your financing. You were approved, now you're not approved anymore. It's a huge problem for you, and it could risk your earnest money as well. So you want to shop your rate while you're still searching. You want to lock in the lender and then keep your financial picture boringly still until closing. The furniture can wait 2 weeks. The house can't wait for you. Mistake number 6, not buying for the life you're actually going to be living. The last mistake is the quietest one. It costs you on the back end. You buy for today and you forget about 3 years from now, and then you're paying to move all over again. I have this happen all the time with people that call me, 2-3 years after they bought a house, and they've already outgrown that house. So this is the trap of getting caught up in the house itself, that you stop thinking about the life that you have around it. Where is it actually sitting? I always tell my buyers that we need to think about what is life going to look like 5 years from now, and let's make sure the house is still going to work for you. Are you going to have kids? Are you going to get married? What's the dynamic going to look like? And let's really think through this. You really need to be in the home 3 to 5 years, though, to sell and make money. If you own for less than that period of time, you're almost guaranteed to lose money if you look at real estate historically speaking. Is it backed up to a freeway you'll never stop hearing, next to a school playground, or a parcel where somebody's about to build, out in a new development with nothing walkable for miles, when what you really wanted was parks and coffee and somewhere to go to? These are all little things, or what seemed like little things at the time, but they're compromises you made to the must-haves you had for the house or the neighborhood or the location. So those are little things that you brush off during the excitement, because the things that wear on you every single day, well, you're now living there, and you think forward on the space too. Newly married, working from home, a 2-bedroom feels perfect right up until there's a kid and your office becomes the nursery and your work moves to the living room and suddenly the whole place feels cramped. Also, I want to warn you and caution you, be very careful buying a 1-bathroom house. 1-bathroom houses have a very hard time reselling, and if you are a young couple and you ever have kids, I promise you, as a father of 3, you're going to want multiple bathrooms. You're going to outgrow 1 bathroom very, very quickly. So before you buy, get honest about the question underneath all of it. What is this house actually for? Is it a 2 or a 3-year stop, a fixer you're going to move on from, or a place you want to be at for the long haul? And I'm not saying that you need to buy your dream house. In fact, there's a big mistake first-time homebuyers make. They hold out for the dream house. You need to buy something as soon as you possibly can so that you don't get priced out of the market long term and you start building equity and appreciation. But you need to make sure the house is going to work for at least the next 5 years and then buy that house. You can always move up to the dream house later on. Most people, their dream house is the 3rd home purchase of their life, not the 1st. Savvy buyers think 5 and even 10 years out, and they'll spend a little bit more now to get something that still fits later, because that beats paying all the costs of selling and moving again in a couple of years. And selling a house is expensive. There's taxes, there's commissions, there's all sorts of costs you're going to have. So buy for the life you're going to be living, not just the one you're currently living this week. So those are the mistakes that cost real money. You'll notice almost every single one of them comes back to one thing: pricing and the people on the other side of the table, which really raises a question most buyers never even think about to ask. Who's actually negotiating for you, and are they good at it? Because here's something I learned the hard way over more than 1,600 real estate transactions. The reputation of your agent in the market quietly decides how the other side comes at your deal. A softer, inexperienced agent gets pushed around, and you pay for it in the final number every single time. I made a whole video breaking down the things your agent isn't telling you when you're buying or selling, the stuff that costs you tens of thousands without ever realizing it. That's the next one you want to go watch. Go check it out, and I'll see you over there.